And then we're live.
Oh my gosh, it did it so fast today.
I have really good internet.
Oh my gosh, look at you with your fancy California internet. Instagram has been telling me all day that I have a DM on my personal account.
Oh, I hate that. And there's
no matter what
there.
I do not have a DM. So if you've tried to contact me today,
it'll show up in 12 hours and be like, we sent this at 12:54 p.m. And you're like, I know, you didn't show it to me until 12 hours later.
Yeah. So thank you, Instagram. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Still Comfy. This is Julia Washington.
Yeah, it's your turn to lead this. I didn't come up with a song.
I didn't think you would. I'm Julia Washington, and this is my co-host.
I'm Natalie Katona from To All the Men I've Tolerated Before, your weekly look at everyday misogyny.
And this week we are covering When Harry Met Sally, which is a film that Natalie has never seen before.
I've never seen it. So I just got to go in without fond memories of it, knowing that I held such a big responsibility in my hand because it is Julia's favorite movie.
It's in the top 5.
Which one's your actual favorite movie?
10 Things I Hate About You.
As it should be.
As my all-time, will never turn the channel if it's on TV, put it on in the background. Love that film. Best movie ever in the whole entire world.
When I have big feelings, I just turn on the 10 Things I Hate About You soundtrack.
Last week at Right Night here in my town, they gave us a prompt, and then it ended up being a love letter to 10 Things I Hate About You.
As it should have been.
I'm actually thinking of typing it up and doing quick edits on it and releasing it on Patreon.
That's right. We got the Patreon plug right out of the way. We have Patreon.
Yeah.
Some of it's free, some of it's paid. It's a choose your own adventure type of deal.
We love choose your own adventure. Okay, so for everyone who doesn't know, When Harry Met Sally released July 21, 1989. We over on Pop Culture Makes Me Jealous did an episode on it in season 2. Our guest was Libby Saylor. This is a screenplay. This is one of the trifectas from Nora Ephron. This is the film that got her Oscar nominations, Golden Globe nominations. I think she won the BAFTA for original screenplay. It is the story of Harry Burns and Sally Albright. They meet in 1977 as college grads. They drive to New York together because Sally is going to journalism school, and Harry, I don't know what the hell Harry's doing other than being obnoxious. And then over the course of 10 to 12 years, they have interactions, they become good friends, and then they fall in love. That is not the Google summary. That is the summary in my head from watching this movie for 20 plus years.
It's pretty close to the IMDb summary because I had to actually start the movie over because life is stressful. And I was like, wait, how did Sally end up in this car with Harry? Like, I had never I was like, why? Why are we in a car together?
I missed that, yeah. Also, I want to remind you, we are using a third party to stream on YouTube. So that means that we don't know that you're here. So if you want to join the conversation, drop a comment in the comments, whether you're watching the replay or watching us live. Say hi. Talk about it. Let's do it. Okay, Natalie, let's get started. I need to know, you have never seen this movie. Tell me what you think, what you thought. Tell me.
Okay.
Tell me what you thought. Did you like this movie? Did you hate this movie?
The first half of the movie was rough for me.
Okay, explain. Because Harry sucks.
Yeah, because Harry is my nightmare.
Yeah.
And then she was like, it's an 18-hour car trip, and one of us has to read a map, and one of us has to drive. And I was like, a nightmare. So no matter what, not one of you can be unconscious, ignoring the other one because you're both relying on one another.
Well, it's 1977. There was no GPS.
And then I know he talked the entire time. We didn't see the entire car trip, but I know he talked the entire time. And he is that trope of a man that I hate, where he's like, let me tell you about the hard knock life, lady who's within 3 months of my own age. He just kept spitting tips that she didn't ask for. And I was like, I hate him. I was like, I hate him. I'm supposed to be on board with her falling in love with him, and I hate him. And I hated him right up until he was humbled by a woman leaving him. So there we go.
And I think that's the whole point. That's the whole point. I do think that for me, I hate the concept of men and women can't be friends. I know
I hate it.
It is not a concept I believe in. It is not a concept I subscribe to. Even after like watching this movie, I think I was 17 years old the first time I saw this movie. It wasn't something I bought into. I had a lot of friends, and half the friend group was men and half boys because we were 17. The other half was girls, and we all lived harmoniously. And I mean, nobody was trying to get in my pants when I was 17. So I don't know if that means that I was hanging around decent dudes or nobody wanted it. I don't know.
I for sure was not hanging around decent dudes. That's not like me at all. So it was because my pants were unattractive when I was 17. So that's fine.
Okay, so can I start with the things that I love about this movie?
Sure. Are we going to argue? Like,
I don't know. Let's find out. Here we go. Is this the first episode where we're going to go head to head on a topic?
Ding, ding, ding. Round one.
I love that it is a romantic comedy that takes place over a decade plus.
Yes. One of my favorite movies is One Fine Day that is based on a book, and we should do it for Jelly Pop's books. Agreed. Because I love the book and the movie. And each chapter is a day told by the man or the woman who are in the like little
in this situation
friendship. And because you grow with them for probably 10 to 20 years, you're very invested in them.
One Fine Day or One Day?
One Day. One Fine Day is that brilliant
Michelle
movie with
Pfeiffer and George Clooney. I was like, One Day is literally, or One Fine Day is literally in a day, whereas One Day is over the course of 20 years. Yes. I do enjoy. This is not that episode. You will come on for that book.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Movie, because I have a theory about that. Why they're both so good. Because often in rom-coms we get, oh, you met, you're now in love 2 hours later. Yeah. And so it perpetuates this idea. And I'm a rom-com girly. I just want to live in a rom-com. I just want to have all the meet cutes. I just want a burly man, strong in Wranglers, who's a little dirty, who looks good on a horse, to come riding in with the sunset and sweep me off my feet. Your nightmare. But what it isn't doing when Harry Met Sally, it's not perpetuating this idea that you will meet, you will fall in love with a week, and you will live happily ever after. Well, it establishes friendship as the foundation for a long-lasting and I'm assuming healthy relationship.
And I understand that in the 80s and 90s, the way that George Clooney and Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan and Michelle Pfeiffer and Julia Roberts and all of them looked, you were supposed to go, wow, those are the most attractive people on the planet. But when you're sitting at 34 years old in 2023, all I can think about is, wow, rom-coms used to be so realistic in the way that people looked, in the way that people talked to one another. Sleepless in Seattle, even though there was light stalking, had like a level of realism to it that I could like get on board with. And I don't know if you know this. Have you pinpointed the movie that shifted it into our formula, which is doofus pretty boy sees accomplished yet clumsy pretty girl and they fall in love in an elevator?
I honestly, I think it's Hallmark. I think Hallmark is the one who's changed the narrative to be this sort of trope. Like, yes, these types of books existed that were modified into rom-coms that we love. But like when you think about Julia Roberts movies, Kate Hudson rom-coms, Jennifer Lopez rom-coms, there's still like this element to it. But when you watch a Hallmark movie,
and they just take out all the depth.
There's no depth to it. It is very much like, look at how cute and disheveled she looks because she's such a badass babe from the big city. And so I think if I really want to pick a time stamp, I'm going to blame the 2010s, like 2011, 12, 13, 14.
And maybe we need to do a deep dive on Julia Roberts' entire career, because her career spanned both types of rom-coms, especially now that she's been in that Paradise movie with George Clooney,
which I didn't even go see. Like, I don't care if you're billing it as a rom-com. Like, this doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah. I think about movies like My Best Friend's Wedding, which is another movie that we like grew up with, or Notting Hill.
Yeah, that's another good one.
Like Runaway Bride. There used to be such like original stories in our rom-coms, and How Harry Met Sally is an original take that has been repeated and repeated and repeated. Sleepless in Seattle is a very original take. Splash, an original take.
Yeah.
And you can literally swap out The Proposal with Miss Congeniality with any J-Lo movie.
Yeah.
And you see every beat coming. Now she'll trip.
Yeah.
Now they'll be in a semi-clumsy situation together.
Which
now
is
his
why
shirt has disappeared.
But like, so Free Guy, I told people it's a sleeper rom-com.
I love Free Guy.
I love this movie so much because it's an original concept, but then once you get to the point where you're like, oh, this is a fucking rom-com, you're well into the movie, and it just really ends up having all of the things that you want from a romantic comedy. And it gave me the same vibe in terms of like, oh, I want this to happen and to me, as when Harry Met Sally does. So that's like my barometer, right? Like if I walk away feeling like, oh, there's stuff in this movie that I want to be real and happen to me, you're doing the right thing. And it feels realistic, not this like dreamy, whimsical. Sometimes I think studios believe that women want dreamy, whimsical, like unrealistic types of shit, but that's not always true.
Yeah, the Bachelor
our
Nation
version of being swept off our feet and what men think we want are two different things.
Yeah. Bachelor Nation has built an entire multi-billion plan and like platform and brand over like women just want to be taken to a castle and twirled around 3 times and handed a flower.
In a hot balloon, air balloon.
I never want to be
take me in a hot air balloon.
I never want to be repelling off of a cliff to show my love for you. I never wanted us to have to work that out together. Like, stop putting me in high places.
But that movie with Sebastian Stan and Daisy Edgar Jones, the little horror scary one that they did, Fresh, I think it's called.
Yes.
They have the most perfect meet cute in the beginning in the grocery store. And it makes me so mad that I sat through that movie solely for that scene because they teased us a little bit with the trailer. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. It's not gonna be that bad. And then I watched the whole thing and I was like, trauma. Like
I loved every
trauma.
moment.
But you know what I mean? But like that meet cute was perfect. It was a Nora Ephron level execution. Like that is what you need to be bringing to our rom-coms. And I think because you and I write movies for a living, I think the industry has gotten away from giving us something that feels like it could really happen. That's the magic of a rom-com. It's like, oh, I really believe that this could happen to me. When you get into the delusion, you're watching Hallmark.
Yes. And no shit. I don't have a really good point. I just have a plug. I loved every moment of the movie Fresh, and I got to talk about it briefly on my podcast when we did the Final Girls episode for Halloween. But if you're watching right now and you run a horror-based podcast and you overlooked doing Fresh, I'm your girl. I'll do it. I love talking about Fresh. It was a great movie.
I did watch a lot of it like this. Pressing the button, going forward, seeing what happens, and then going back to let it play.
Honestly, And maybe I can get a friend to do this next year, but like the only reason I'm sad that I'm single is because I can't do them as a couple's costume and then spend the entire Halloween party like doing their weird
Their
parallel dance,
dance. Yeah,
their
yeah.
side by side dance
Yeah. Yeah, it was
that I'm
great.
obsessed with.
It's a great movie. I've got my fill on scary movies for a while.
Yeah.
Back to When Harry Met Sally though. So you said to the point like he became redeemable to you when a woman left him. So like from that point on, were you on board?
Well, I'm mostly on board because nothing fills my body with glee and adrenaline more than a man not getting what he wanted. Because truly Billy Crystal's character and a lot of men that we know need that like hubris moment to be like, what do you mean I'm not great? Because society and the world and all of it tells them that they're great and that they deserve this wife that they haven't put any effort into or whatever. When he was engaged to her and trying to tell Meg Ryan about her on the plane, he never told me anything about who she was.
Right. Other than like her name's Helen, blah, blah, blah. She's keeping her last name.
Yeah. And she also
Which is
worked in his
very
office or something.
Yeah. And I have to like that's very 80s. Like that kind of line was very like because it was so scandalous back then for women to keep their own names and not change their name when they got married.
Also, then we eventually see Helen, and I'm like, that's an actress. That is an actress who is well known and has been in things. Did I look up who she was? No, but I was like, I know that face.
Yeah.
Who was it?
I don't know. Hold on. Do you want me to confirm?
So anyways, back to me.
Keep talking.
There's nothing that will make me get on board with the story that you're trying to tell. If you're like, oh no, what if Natalie's bored? What if Natalie hates Billy Crystal? I know. I'll take something from him because literally also I think we misinterpret this movie that Billy Crystal is the funny one. Carrie Fisher and
Bruno
and Meg Ryan and Bruno are the funny people in this movie.
Oh, Carrie Fisher is brilliant in this movie. You're right. You're absolutely right. He's never gonna leave her. You're like just the way she delivers these things, or when she's trying to set Sally up again at that lunch, and she's like, "Oh, I've got somebody for you." She, blah blah, and they're like, "Didn't he get married 6 months ago?" And she goes, "Oh," and then folds the corner.
And then folds the corner. Folds the corner. We'll be doing a deep dive of Carrie Fisher clips and her body of work and rereading her books again to really zhuzh up my comedy props because she's a master.
She's a master. She's brilliant. It's like her delivery in everything. And then like when she and Bruno are standing at Jess, when Marie and Jess are in their apartment, they've just moved in, they've been fighting about the wagon wheel, and then Harry has his meltdown, and then Sally explains it, and they exit, and she's like, I just want you to know I'm never gonna like that wagon wheel table. Like the way she starts, you're thinking, oh, she's gonna say, I just want you to know we're never gonna fight like that, and I love you so much, and all these things. And then that twist of like, but she delivers it beautifully.
Yeah. My favorite scene of the movie is when they each have a phone line in their bedroom.
So good. That's one of the best scenes of the whole movie.
So Bruno's talking to Harry and Carrie Fisher's talking to Sally, and they know that they're like getting the same information and that they will discuss this later at breakfast. And they just like keep checking in on one another, but they're like, no, don't worry about Bruno. He's just like talking to his boss or whatever. He's calling in sick. Everything's fine. and I literally laughed. I go, because number one, it's preposterous, and yet it makes so much sense for these two characters to have separate phone lines in their own bedroom.
Yeah, they just I'm not giving up my number, right? Like just like how Helen wasn't going to give up her last name, like
I'm sorry, I'm supposed to want to wait around to call Sally for when you're done talking to someone? Absolutely not. And they will be on our separate bedstands.
Yes. I think something that's so beautiful about movies that take place pre the internet and cell phones is moments like this, because it is very theatrical. And even though it takes place in 1989, it still has a old movie feel with the way that the dialogue's written and the blocking of the scene. And it just, even though it's a modern movie, you still get that vintage movie vibe.
Right. Yeah.
I fucking love it. It's such a great scene.
I will give this for Harry and Billy Crystal in this movie. You know, Meg Ryan, Sally could be the archetype for the quirky, like pixie dream girl. Like, I want my pie, but I want my pie exactly how I want it. Me too. I won't eat apple pie if it's not Dutch apple pie. I want crumblies, and I only want crumblies. And if you bring it with the lattice, I'm going to shove it into your face. Because you should know, I don't like whipped frosting on my cake. I want buttercream frosting on my cake. Did you just try to serve me whipped cream on a cupcake like I'm a child? No. I want full sugar buttercream.
This is all good to know for when you visit me, actually.
Correct. Yeah, honestly. when our friends at dinner are like, why is Natalie throwing cake? And you're gonna be like, the whipped cream.
It was whipped cream. Did you guys not watch When Harry Met Sally? Come on.
Billy Crystal makes little quips and he makes little jokes, but at no point does he go, and this is why you're unlovable, or like, this is why men don't stick around for you.
Right.
Whereas every time I had a really fun quirk or I had a way that I enjoyed something, I was told, if you just doled that out a little, a man would marry you.
Well, and what's brilliant about all of it too is because in the beginning he's like, oh, the way you order is interesting, but he doesn't ever, right? But then later on, when he is trying to set up Sally and Jess, he's like, oh, Sally's a great order. You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful because, like you said, we are constantly told to repackage ourselves all the time. So I re-listen. Sorry, go ahead. You have a thing you want to say.
I sit through a lot of dinners with someone who has a lot of food related like quirks because of bad things that happened in their childhood. So to me, I'm like, we're not touching that. If you don't want to eat rice, you don't have to eat rice. And yet I watch their partner apologize to wait staff. Like not even like, I'm sorry that this is going to be a pain in the ass, but it's over. Like literally like, oh, I'm so sorry that you even have to deal with her. And then like, and you have to do it or else we're burning the restaurant down. And like just a really dramatic, like to the point where I've screamed. I'm like, what are we doing? Why? This is how she orders. Let her order. They don't care. And then I look at the poor waiter and I'm like, do you care? And they're like, no, they're just going to write it on their little pad. No one cares about this but you. And Billy Crystal could have really come off as a really insecure date if that's what he was doing. Because I think a lot of the time we've been asked to conform and change ourselves because something about us is being interpreted as embarrassing for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I re-listened.
I'm so smart. Would you re-listen to? Also, who was Helen?
Oh, Helen is, let me tell you, Harley Jane Kozak. She's still working to this day. She's in
so
a ton of stuff. Chicago. She did 2 episodes of Chicago Hope. She did an episode of Once and Again. She was on a show called You Wish. She did, she was on the miniseries Titanic. She was on the show Hearts of the West, which looks like it only lasted a season. So she's got a lot of credits. Oh, she's in the movie Parenthood.
There we go. I think she's one of those women who shows up to be the brassy woman in the room. To be like the shitster woman in the room. And then because I am compelled to be her, I pay attention to her face.
Yeah. Yeah. So I re-listened to my When Harry Met Sally episode earlier today because I was like, I couldn't find the original outline I had done in my system. And I was like, that's annoying. So I'll just listen to it. And I was reminded that there's an article by somebody in a publication. I was working while I was listening to it, so I didn't make notes. That basically goes into how When Harry Met Sally normalizes the high maintenance woman, like that concept.
Because I think that high maintenance women And we saw it in Sleepless in Seattle, where I'm like, hey, you know why I'm not on board with these clowns? Because
Yeah.
that woman had a laugh and everyone like cringed about it every time she had a moment of joy.
Yeah.
Um, I think high maintenance women are just women who have preferences. And we've been told so many times that we're not allowed to have a
Right.
preference.
Right. Because we're here to be a servant to our husbands.
Yeah.
And
And
why aren't you doing that?
I don't want to make a fuss just because you don't like whipped cream. So just eat it. Like, I had to eat for a number of my birthdays angel food cake, even though I don't like angel food cake. And it's because someone knew that someone else in my family liked angel food cake. And he was like, eat it. That's why she's making it. And I'd have to choke it down to be polite. And
Natalie,
now I have disordered eating.
you need to text me what kind of birthday cake you want, and
Right.
I'll make sure we have it here. Because
That
here's the
question
thing.
always stresses me.
Okay, I'm sorry. We will just go on a birthday cake sampling tour at my favorite bakery. Because here's the thing. In our house, my grandfather didn't like chocolate. I fucking love chocolate cake.
Yeah.
But you know what my mother did anyway for her father-in-law? She made him something small, vanilla, some sort of small vanilla treat so he could still participate in the dessert portion of the family birthday party.
Oh my God.
I know. And
When I
like that's a tradition that we do in our family. Not so much anymore because now everybody's got different food preferences. But if mommy makes pie from scratch, we're all eating it.
we're all eating it. And so, and again, it really plays into like how women and men have these blurred definitions of what it means to actually give consent to
Yeah.
something. Because women have been told, well, don't say no to that.
Mm-hmm.
Someone somewhere paid for that or worked hard for that or put effort into it for you. And you're going to be an ungrateful hoe and say that you're allergic to lemon.
How dare.
Where's your EpiPen?
I'm allergic to coconut. And one
I
year, a
know.
family member made something with coconut sugar and didn't tell me. And their partner was the one who was like, Julia, you can't have that because there's coconut sugar. And I was like,
Someone's always looking out.
it's like, appreciate you. Because I feel
Again.
like that was intentional.
Ooh. So Julia tried to get poisoned by her family, is what we all just heard. And I have disordered eating. So back to when Harry met Sally.
I do think that there are things that are dated, and not just because they're using telephones or because it's 1989 or things like that, but I do think, because of the time when you're doing something, there are things where you're just like, this is very 1989. But I think overall it's still like a film you could drop in today and people are going to relate to it, understand it, feel seen by it.
I wonder if Gen Z will, because
Oh,
I think what you and I grew up on when it came to those really, I'm not going to say they're really old, but those 80s and 90s rom-coms, the
yeah.
Sleepless in Seattles, the Splashes,
Mm-hmm.
the Big.
I love Big. It's
I
such a
love
great
Big too, but
film.
we can't be watching that shit anymore.
I know. God damn it.
Um,
I just will watch it and not tell anybody.
there's such a like languid pace to When
Mhm.
Harry Met Sally. Like you said, it's a 95-minute movie. Believe me, I checked because as we know,
You don't like a film that's more than 90 minutes.
um, but it spans 10 years. And I feel like this entire idea of like languid courting and like
Mhm.
really like settling in with someone, even when it comes to friendships and not even just romantic relationships, is a thing of the past.
Well, and it's sorry, go ahead.
Because I can swipe on Tinder and find 10 more people who are going to move at my pace.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too to add to piggyback on what you're saying is that there are it's a very clear delineation of time. Here's 1977. Okay, now we're 5 years later. Okay, now we're 5 years later again. And so I watched The Hating Game even though I haven't read the book yet, but I will. It's not the best movie, but it fills the need of a wintry rom-com with a
Hmm.
little steam for me.
Hmm.
The problem is that there's no time for like have we gone through 2 months, 3 months? Like, what's the passage of time here? Because it feels like it starts in spring and ends in winter, but there's also no clear time distinction. And that's hard too, because it's like you could have a movie where it's like, they hate each other and work together for 10 years and then they fall in love. Or you could just like smash it all in and make it very confusing about the time. Because I don't know why I get hung up on how long it takes people to fall in love.
Well, because I think you and I are in this really awkward state where we saw how our parents and our grandparents fell in love, and we saw how Harry and Sally fell in love, and
Not
then we got Tinder.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now,
Yeah.
and I have likened dating apps as just like Amazon for the single, where it's like, and I think that, I mean, think about how hard of a time I have living within time.
Well, you're
I
a time
live
traveler.
I live outside of time. I am a time
Mhm.
traveler.
Mhm.
Um, I can't imagine how Gen Z delineates time. Because to me, think of all of the catastrophic events that we've lived through in our timeline that give us markers of like, we know when. I mean, I remember the first time thinking, oh my gosh, we finally hit it. We have hit the year where people are going to think it is appropriate to loop 9/11 into media and literature and whatever. We've grieved enough. And now
Mhm.
people are like, and here come the references.
Yeah.
And you started seeing the differences between pre 9/11 and
Mhm.
post 9/11 television and movies.
Well, and it took a while to get, I mean, like you said, it took a while to get there because if you watch Friends in the 2001, 2002 season, it's like nothing happened.
Hmm. Right. And I think the reason why like movies feel so out of touch with time is because especially now with like remote work and the
Mhm.
digital age, none of us actually have to like really stick to some sort of schedule.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that like delineating in the hating game, like has this been a week? Has this been 2 months? What has happened?
And you're in short skirts in December in a state where it snows? Is that real?
Is
Like
that
I don't
real?
I don't get snow where I live.
Oh, people do it. Listen, we love nothing more than to get dressed up in our short skirts and our slutty tops and stand in a line at an event in the snow in our Uggs, like, oh no, this is fine. We're doing it. And then kick off our Uggs into a trash can or something and put on our strappy heels and go all night long, all
It
night and
will
get like hypothermia.
it will be 65 degrees here and we're like suiting up like a snowstorm is
I never,
happening.
I have never worn a coat. Number one, it could be 30 degrees out. And if the sun's out, I'm like, that's 62. And
Yeah.
I've forgotten my coat. Because why would I ever look at the app on my phone to tell me what the temperature actually is? But maybe I'll pack a coat for California because I'll like honestly
You
think
might
like
not need it because you'll be like, "Oh, it's 63
I'll
and
be
you
like,
guys are
oh my gosh,
freezing. This is so nice."
it's summer. Where's Olaf to be like, when it's summer?
Especially in the first leg of your trip.
Yeah,
When you get towards me, it will get cold.
yeah, because you have snow and shit. Um, and I'll pack a coat because God knows I'll be like stuck in O'Hare or something. It like
Right,
have
right.
to sleep in a Chicago terminal. um,
God, I hope not.
I hope not. But yeah, I just think that number one, I would love it. Hey, Gen Z, are you watching us? Have we made it to your TikTok? Please tell us. Are you watching? We know you've watched The Breakfast Club and we've apologized for it.
And 16 candles
And we've apologized.
because Bros to me had the feeling of a Nora Ephron movie.
Well, because Billy Eichner is our age.
Mhm.
So he was writing what he knew.
Yeah. I wonder if there is, because it's like, oh, rom-coms don't make any money, but we are seeing sort of a renaissance of rom-coms happening. And part of me feels like, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't
But
think that.
I remember my original thought. I'm sorry. I apologize for
Of course.
interrupting you. But my point was is there still space for the film structure and the pacing of a movie like When Harry Met Sally?
Well, I don't know because now we only take in content that's 15 to 35 seconds.
Or a 3-hour movie. Like there's no in between. I
There's no in
can't
between.
like half the everyone was like, "Oh, you're going to go see Oppenheimer, right? Because you run a show about movies and blah blah." I'm like, "It is 3 hours."
I will not be watching the movie about the
I
bomb.
cannot sit through the last 3-hour movie I willingly sat through was Endgame. And that was because you gave me men in skin tight costumes.
Yeah.
But like I very much do not understand the point of a 3-hour movie. I don't care if you think that everything that's in there needs to be in there. Like tell the story differently.
I truly don't understand
Make
what
it into
people.
2. I don't care. I do not want to sit in the movie theater for 3 hours. That is literally like half my workday. Once I get there, get snacks, get seated, and then I'm the hoe who waits till the credits are done.
Yeah. I need a white male executive. I need a white male movie executive to text me in 5 words or less what genre they think actually will make money because they're convinced it's not rom-coms. They're convinced it's not any movie a woman might sit through.
Well, it's it's the superhero movies. That's what and the
Yeah,
reboots. That's what
it's
they're
literally just
but
Marvel.
but they're struggling. Marvel is having a hard time putting butts in seats anymore. But I also think that has a lot to do with I have to pay attention to every fucking thing you push out because everything's interconnected and it's no longer fun for me.
Right, and we have fatigue. It feels like homework.
Mhm.
I went and saw the Marvels, and my friend and I were laughing because I was like, I haven't been to see a Marvel movie, and I don't have access to Disney Plus since Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, it was in February, I think.
Was that this
That was
calendar
this
year?
year.
Good for
Yeah.
me. But yeah, I was like, which I'm always down for, like Wakanda, and
Yeah.
I'm always down for Captain Marvel because at least the sets will start to look different because we're in space.
Well, and because they're playing Captain Marvel on the TV like crazy because they want you to like, oh, Captain Marvel, oh, there's the Marvels movie, and the soundtrack in Captain Marvel is fucking slamming,
Yeah, because she's us.
like I yes, and with a whole song. I love that album. I waited in line to buy that album. There wasn't a line. I was the only person in town that liked Hole.
Julia was very punk rock, but I would just like love for a Gen Zer to weigh in if you got past the John Williams, is that what his name? What's his name?
John Hughes.
With if you got past John, if you got past John Hughes, and you kind of meandered into like a Tom Hanks like renaissance, like
Era.
have you looked at young Tom Hanks? Big who I'll apologize for it if you're like, you told me Tom Hanks was a safe man, and then I watched this big movie and it got weird, and I'll be like, yeah, you should see Jack with Robin Williams, another heavy hitter for
Yeah.
me in my childhood.
Yeah.
But Benjamin, here's the thing, Jack, I loved Jack. I
Mhm.
cried even as a kid. It has Nanny Fine in it. It has
Yeah.
Fran Drescher in it. The Curious Case of fucking Benjamin Button. I was like, this isn't fun. Like, it
That's a
different.
short story. That's based on a short story.
Well, the movie was long.
Because when the movie came out and I saw the link of the movie, I was like, isn't this a short story that's like 70 pages?
It's a
Like, or
3-page
less than?
story.
Like, what? How did you stretch out like a 9,000 word story into a 2.5 hour film?
So I would just like for Gen Z, like, are you confused by When Harry Met Sally? Are you confused by Sleepless in Seattle? Are you like, this is so, what do they say we are? They have like a term for us. They're like, the millennials are so like,
Cringe?
no, it's not cringe, but it sounds like cringe. It's like Gucci.
Gucci? Gucci's a
No,
good thing, I thought.
no, it's like chuggy.
Oh.
Chuggy. They're like, oh, Meg Ryan, so chuggy because they're mean. Y'all are mean. And I would just like to know, like, did a grandmother figure sit you down? Like my grandma sat me down and was like, we will watch the entire Brady Bunch and go, we're going to watch every Tom Hanks movie. Giddy up.
Buckle up, Buttercup. It's time for You've Got Mail. Fucking love that movie. But also You've Got Mail is kind of loosely based on The Shop Around the Corner, which is so cute. The Jimmy Stewart movie. I love that movie where they write letters to each other. It's so cute.
I've never seen You've Got Mail.
What? You've never seen any of the Nora Ephron trifecta? Like Sleepless in Seattle, you'd never seen?
Well, technically, I've seen 2 out of 3 now, so I need your
tone
to...
Because of our show!
To lessen.
Because of me!
Because here's the thing, Jules. I watched every show on VH1. I was the only person supporting VH1. And I would watch... I love the 70s. I love the 80s. I love the 90s. I love
those series.
Horror. Like... And I would just watch them because they had the best, because that's when comedians could just get television work on VH1. And they would like call you up and they'd be like, hey, girl code chicks, do you have a lunch break today? Let's talk about Furbies. And they would make you sit in a studio. And I loved them. And now I'm funny. So thank you, VH1. So I didn't have to see You Got Mail because I understood. The plot structure of You Got Mail.
Okay, here's what we're going to do when you come to visit me. Because we were already going to do in my studio recordings already.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Now what we're going to do is we're going to complete the circle.
Are we going to live stream me watching You've Got Mail?
Yes.
Yes. Big reputation. I don't know why I'm still stuck on Endgame.
Because I feel like that's how we close the circle.
Are we going to make the live streaming, maybe having to react to it, a Patreon exclusive?
Well, it's a live stream. So how do I make that a Patreon exclusive?
Patreon has a live stream function.
What?
Yeah. When I go to create posts, it's like, do you want this to be a live stream?
I didn't know that.
And I'm like, no, Patreon, never.
Okay, we'll figure it out, but that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna live record or live stream you and me watching.
We can put the live stream on YouTube for free, and then we can put the replay on Patreon. I fixed it. I did it.
Love that for you. Love that for you. Okay, let's get back to When Harry Met Sally because we're 3/4 of the way through our show. What other points did you have that you want to talk about?
It's hard for me to remember because now Endgame is running through my head.
Sorry. I will say it does make me really sad to think about how Bruno and Carrie are both no longer with us. That breaks my heart. Yeah.
God.
So I do feel like I'm honoring their memory when I watch this film.
You know, I think it would be a crime for us to not go into the whole idea of When Harry Met Sally what created this idea that women cannot be your friend. They cannot be your equal. They will forever be just a conquest to be slept with at some point. Because...
And I think it's very generational too, because I do not run into that's a lie. I was gonna say I don't run into that, but that's a lie. But one of my best friends is man, married, 3 kids, and I have always had male friends. One has hit on me in the entire time of I've had me having male friends, but also he just like ran through the circle of women. Period. The end. But I don't like the concept that men and women can't be friends. I think it's a very gendered concept. I think it reinforces that whole gender binary bullshit that, everyone's so stuck on. Because I think that and I also believe that it feeds into this concept of that's a small, subtle element of the patriarchy, because then that means that we're all, like you said, we're always going to be seen as a conquest. And so the men who don't fit into that category are now outcasts and, kind of have to like play the game to survive the system. And same with women, like we have to be on the defense all the time. And I don't know, I hate it. I hate it so much because it means that you can't appreciate somebody or be friends with somebody for who they are. Like
Yeah.
it immediately eliminates 50% of the population as a potential friend.
Well, and it's constantly an opening for men to be villainized against us.
Right.
So looking at you, Kiki Palmer's ex-boyfriend,
Mm.
very controlling men will look at you and be like, what do you mean this guy's been in your life for 12 years? And you'd be like, this is my friend George. We graduated high school together. He has been in my life for 12 years. He's coming to Christmas Eve. And they'll be like, I can't help it that George bid his time for 12 years to try and fuck you on Christmas morning. Like he doesn't get to come to Christmas. And it doesn't even matter if like your life hasn't been in that mindset, someone else's life has been in that mindset. And even if you're not being preyed upon by a guy, someone's going to come in and be like, and try to shape what
Mhm.
you yourself as a woman should be free to do.
Yeah. Yeah, which is why Survival of the Thickest was one of the best shows I've seen this year because she has a male best friend. It is never once a threat to their dating life, either of them. He meets someone, they have a relationship, they have their own sets of hurdles and challenges. Never once is that hurdle or challenge the fact that he has a female best friend. She meets someone, she dates, she does her thing. Never once is the challenge she has a male best friend. It is completely eliminated, which is so beautiful because it is such a bullshit thing to be hung up on. And it is a self-conscious, it's a self-conscious and sort of insecure thing to care about.
Well, and because
With
this
the
has happened.
caveat, if you do have a hoe, man or female or gender nonconformist, a person who is the definition of a hoe that is non-gendered, coming for your partner, that is a different that is a whole different topic.
Because I've been both. So I have been the hoe befriending your man, or no, I have been the hoe who was your friend's man for years and then was like, I'm better than her. And then wanted to throw my hoe weight around to be like, why are you buying her dinner when you could be buying me dinner? I'm better, I'm smarter, and I'm prettier, and I'm age appropriate for your dumb ass. And then I have been the little innocent angel who has just been keeping the company of some man who cared about me, but not in a sexual way, being told every day by women, children, parents, whatever, like, he's going to make a pass at you. You need to start thinking about how often you should be spending alone time with him. And it's like, what? Him?
And that just also feeds into the fact that women have to protect themselves because all men are predators. So again, we're not raising better men. We're not a society that expects more from men. We just immediately default to a man is a predator, stay away. But also you need to marry one and be submissive.
Right. Because I was continuously asked, and what are you going to do when that happens? And I'm like, probably run with the Taco Bell he bought me. Like, I'll probably take my cheesy gordita and go.
Not leaving that cheesy gordita behind because that shit is now $5.
Are you kidding me? In the early 2000s, when the Taco Bell chips were good, I'm not leaving that shit behind.
And it only cost $1.69. Now it's going to cost you fucking $25 to buy a cheesy gordita crunch.
When you could feed a family of 4 at Taco Bell for $7 fucking dollars, and some man was always keeping me somewhere too late after dinner, whatever, and being like, we can just go through a Taco Bell drive-in because it had cost him $3.
I'm not mad at a Taco Bell. Listen, I'm not mad at a Taco Bell drive-through, especially after we've left the bar.
I love it. Listen, have I been the hoe sitting in the back of your car because your girlfriend was like, we're drunk, come pick us up, screaming, are we getting tacos? Tacos, tacos, tacos. I'm just a bitch who got a free ride. And I'm like, I want this ride to also have nachos. Nacho Bel Grande. Do not take me to my home. Have I sat at a Jack in the Box parking lot and been told that I couldn't have my drunk taco at 2 a.m. because they had already made 100
Sold
tacos
out.
that night. And I was like, Jack in the Box, you don't fucking, it's like you don't want me to ever give you money, Jack.
Right.
That's my problem. I've tried to support you, Jack in the Box, like I used to support VH1, and you never want my money.
You don't want my money.
So yeah.
Here I am, just a girl standing before you with a dollar bill.
Here I am. Here I am, Jack in the Box, just a girl in her favorite aunt's car, screaming, I want tacos and potatoes and a milkshake. I want that while her husband contemplates divorce in the backseat. I'm just a girl who's had to surf over her cousins to be like, this is what I want from Jack in the Box. And did I pay for that Jack in the Box? Absolutely not. I'm drunk. I don't know where my purse is.
It's not my responsibility to pay for the Jack in the Box if I am the person inebriated.
Right. I'm not driving. I'm not talking to these people and exchanging cards with them. I'm just surfing over second and third cousins to be like, it's been real nice to see you, John. I want tacos.
Yes.
And that's how every wedding in my family ends, and funeral. Honestly, honest to God, can't wait for Thanksgiving. But what I'm saying is men have been made to feel like I am prey, and I have also been made to feel like I'm a Madonna or a whore, and I have been both.
Yeah.
And it's a real big whiplash because yes, did my hoeing, even though it took like 6 to 10 years, eventually pay off? I mean, he's not in this house now, but I eventually got what I wanted. And then moved.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I feel like for me, and you know this, like I've have friends who are ethical non-monogamy, and that's great for them. I'm not doing that. I've had to share literally everything in my adult life, which is a thing you have to do, and also childhood. So like I am not sharing my romantic partner. I'm not going to try and steal your romantic partner. Like there have been people who are partnered that I'm like, oh, there is an attraction here on my end. So I'm not going to play. I'm just going to step away because I'm not going to be that person. But that's me. That's my personal decision and choice. When it comes to being friends, like the minute you express that you have romantic interest in me and we are friends, I'm sorry, we're going to put this on pause because I'm not.
Julia puts it on pause and I'm like, sure, I'm not naked now, but I could be.
Because here's the thing, Natalie, I've had my heart broken so many times. Like I was heartbroken after my son's dad and I split. Like that was a very not a great and I met my person. We fell in love. He got scared and ran away. That was hard. So like for me, I'm just like, I've had my heart broken so much. I don't want to share. I want to give my love to somebody and be just fully in it and committed and shower you and meet you where you are with the things that you need to feel loved. And I want that in return. And if that, it like, that's all I want. I also am not going to walk through life thinking that I can't be friends with people who can enrich my life just because they have a penis.
Yeah. And we have 8 minutes left in this episode. And because I'm a mastermind, like one Taylor Swift, I'm going to bring this back to the movie. Yeah. What I really appreciated about When Harry Met Sally and what relates to our point and what Jules has very clearly lined out that she wants for us. And I'm like, I just never want to talk to a man again because every time they ask me to get naked, I do. And it never works out. And that's on me and my bad self-esteem. Is Sally holds Harry accountable to it. She's like, you don't just get to walk in here on fucking New Year's Eve and see me in a really pretty dress and be like, it's New Year's. I want to dick you down for 1990 at midnight. And she's like, no, we're not getting wrapped up in it. Like you either care about me or you don't. And that's a choice that you have to make. And then he lists all of her quirks that he is okay with. And he never had to like overcome them to be okay with them. He was just okay with them. And that's what makes it different. And that's why I'm not yelling at him. So it's both. I have never been to the point where I've held a man accountable for actually caring about me before my clothes came off. I've just been like, oh, well, if I could delete Tinder off my phone, that would be great. I'm just like, because I'm efficient. And I'm like, oh, I've skipped steps. Now I don't have to
Yeah.
meet someone new.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's it. And I think what's so great is Sally holds her ground the entire movie. And so it forces him to grow up.
And then
And it's such a subtle grow up too, because you hate him in the beginning of the movie, and by the end of the movie, you're like, yeah, like you actually, good job, Harry. Like you get it. You've grown. You and Sally will make a very happy couple.
And I'm going to make this not be all of my fault because what Harry did is he was accepting to her holding him accountable and to the fire. And her friends around her were like, yeah, this is what you do. We're not fucking married men anymore. Like Carrie Fisher's happy. Yeah. Whenever I would go, well, maybe I should hold a motherfucker accountable for caring about me, they'd be like, oh, don't rock the boat. Don't be needy. Don't make that man scared. Don't make him run. Right. You got to play it cool. You got to play the game. The game will change every day. There will be new rules. Yeah. And so I got trigger shy about being like, okay, do you care about me or are we just getting naked? I would just like to know what the parameters of our deal is. And then I would break hearts or someone would break my heart. And I'd be like, because we're never, we're playing a game in blindfolds, but it's like not helping.
See, and now I'm the girl who's like, guess what? I like you. Yeah. And they're like, well, oh, you know, and like take it or leave it. Right. Like, cause now, and I think I have to attribute a lot of it to When Harry Met Sally, because I'm very good now, especially with being like, here's my feelings. Let me know. Don't respond right away. Call me back. Send me a text. Let's get coffee. Because now I'm in a position where I'm just like, I don't want to do any of that shit that all the other rom-coms told us we needed to do to get in a relationship, because it's a waste of fucking time. Yeah. I know that I like you. I know that I feel like you enrich my life. Let's just make this happen.
Turns out I grew up to be the girl that's like, turns out I don't like you. I don't like, hey, just a heads up. I don't like you. Please stop looking at me that way because you're gross and I don't want you in my house. I know that maybe for 6 years I kept telling you that I was so much better than your girlfriend and smarter and prettier and age appropriate, but I don't actually want you in my house.
Right?
I don't want you here.
I mean, you know that I want my partner to just live next door and we put a gate in between our fences.
Honestly, that's why I'm trying really hard to not believe in monogamy anymore. And it's just like hard because I'm selfish, but it's literally because like if I was forced to spend time with someone every day and care about their schedule every day and and just like check in on them every day and not be able to just like nest up and like girl rot and then be like, I didn't call you because I didn't want to call you, then like, I just need them to get attention elsewhere. I'm so bad at giving people attention now. Oh, because I deserve all the attention and that's their fault.
We do deserve attention. Okay, so I'm going to lead us into, I'm very comfortable with this movie still.
Yeah. I was really comfortable. Yeah. By the time I got past Billy Crystal having to tell me that he was right all the time and everything that I thought was wrong. Or even when Sally would agree with him, he's like, you didn't say it right. It's this extreme though. And I'm like, okay, I hate you. Yeah. But then the second half of the movie came when they were in their upper 20s or 30s, aka the gray spot of all of our lives. Right. The sweet zone, if you will. And then I was like, oh, I'm back on board with this movie. This is actually how relationships are supposed to come about. So it was a romantic comedy that didn't be like, have you ever tried going on an Alaskan cruise to find love? It was like, have you ever just decided to not be obnoxious and then your best friend marries you? Right.
I love this movie. I'm really glad you sat through it. I'm really glad that you feel this way. I'm so happy.
Honestly, I'm really glad that I didn't turn it off after 15 minutes of Billy
Or
Crystal
just
in a
after
car.
he
I was like,
spit the
my
grapes into the
nightmare.
window, like
My
like,
nightmare. I was like,
yeah.
"No, this is why men aren't allowed in my house." I was like, "Oh my god, 18
Yeah.
hours in a car with them," and they have, like, 80s radio. They don't even have, like, Spotify. There aren't podcasts. They don't have an
Natalie,
audiobook.
no. Okay, Natalie, tell everybody what's going on, where they can find you, what's happening in the Men I've Tolerated pod this week.
Sure, my name is Natalie Katona. I'm the host of To All the Men I've Tolerated Before. Your weekly look at everyday misogyny. It comes out every Thursday. This Thursday, we have a really exciting episode because our good friend Chelsea Devantez has come on because I'm a time traveler. I've already done this, but she
Yeah.
is
And
on the podcast.
I've already listened to
And
the
Julia's already
episode.
listened to it because she pays.
Yeah.
And so anyways, Chelsea is coming on to talk about her podcast, Glamorous Trash, formerly known as Celebrity Book Club, why female memoirs are important, why it is important for women to feel empowered to tell their stories through memoir, and how not every female memoir is chicken soup for the soul. They are actually well-written,
Mhm.
well-conceptualized books, and a little bit about the process of writing her memoir, which is coming out this summer. It feels like this
Yeah,
summer, but
June of 2024. Yeah.
that summer. Pre-orders are happening now, so all of that information will be in our
Well, it
show
depends if it
notes.
comes out before June 22nd. That's still technically spring.
I
Sorry,
need
I'm
you to
being an
stop
asshole.
that. What are you doing?
I don't know.
What are you doing?
I don't know. What is
I
wrong
never
with
went back.
me?
Listen, did anyone do the Still Comfy homework from last week to find out when Jules tried to make me feel racist that one time? And I was like, what are you doing right now?
Did I
What are you?
ever do that?
Yes, it was something I was like, oh, you gonna tell me that like I'm a white girl who doesn't know? Why are you trying to make me feel like the white girl in the room just because I am the white girl in the room?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
That's only one of
I'm
the
sorry,
exciting
friend.
things that's going on. To All the Men I've
Yeah.
Tolerated Before is starting a new tradition. The first segment of our new Patreon exclusive series called The Misogyny Meltdown, where I get to, instead of being a very great professional who's very lovely and polite to all of our guests and form lifelong friendships with them, I just get to unhinge my jaw and tell you how I really feel about it. So
I'm so excited about that. I can't wait.
the first misogyny meltdown segment will in fact be, we will crown the first ever
Misogynist of the year, right?
Misogynist of the Year award. And if you go to All the Men I've Tolerated Before, or if you go to patreon.com and type into All the Men I've Tolerated Before, there will be an article describing all of the nominees and why they deserve this award. But you're the one who gets to vote. It's not my call. I just wrote an article. Yes, Justin
I get
Timberlake
to
is on
vote.
it. You get to vote. You paid.
I'm a member. I'm a Patreon pal. Join Natalie's Patreon so we can be dismantling the misogyny together. Please.
At least follow for free because the article is for free and the first round of voting is for free.
Yeah. I'm excited. I've been watching your posts about like who's on the list, and I'm just like, I can't wait to vote. This is gonna be so
Sandoval.
hard. It's gonna be such a hard decision to make. This week on Pop Culture Makes Me Jealous. Oh, Natalie, we have a big week this week.
Oh my God, Jules, we released a whole new fucking show.
We have a whole new show. Episode 3 of Drama Dump drops on Friday. Natalie and I have a show. I'm playing a persona of myself. Natalie, I think you're being yourself. Yeah.
I'm just being my true authentic self.
We take letters from listeners who are writing in to have us yell at their family because they can't yell at their family for situations that they've put them in. Episodes 1 and 2 are available now on YouTube at Drama Dump on YouTube. You can email us at dramadump at gmail.com to send your letter. You can be anonymous. You can send your first name. The other big thing that we have happening this week, which is another collab with Natalie, is we covered the Britney Spears memoir.
We did for Patreon.
for Patreon, and that's releasing on Patreon this Thursday. Both of our Patreons, mine and Natalie. That's huge. That's huge news. We're excited about that.
Did you have a is that the episode for Pop Culture Makes Me Jealous, or did you have another
for Pop Culture Makes Me Jealous because I am tired.
So go check out Jules's reel, starring Tim Curry and Carol Burnett and fuck.
It's blowing up.
It's blowing up.
Peters, yeah.
Bernadette Peters. I almost said Helena Bohemia Carter, and I was like, that's not even kind of correct. It's Bernadette Peters.
Not even correct. Yeah, that reel is blown up.
Because it almost made me go, oh, I wish I had Disney Plus so I could rewatch Annie. But Annie freaked me out as a kid. I didn't like that bald man. I didn't like that bald man. I didn't like
the billionaire, Mr.
Man.
Daddy Warbucks.
I didn't like him.
I'm sorry. I didn't do it. That movie came out before I was born. I didn't do it.
I don't like these movies where just like a man is like, this is my child.
Let me borrow a child for a PR stunt. So last week on Pop Culture Makes Me Jealous, we covered the 1982 version of Annie. It is with It's My Screen Time Too, and it was a lot of fun. It was a great conversation. I posted about it on Instagram, and the reel has gone viral essentially in my universe because my reels usually get 80 views, and this one is almost at 40K. So go watch that.
If everyone could please go like, repost, share, and comment on all of my TikToks. TikTok put me in timeout because I tried to convince them that women are people who matter. And they're like, no. They get real Regina George about it. They get real Regina George about it, and they're like, stop trying to make feminism happen, Natalie.
We won't be back until December because we are taking a break because we just assume that no one's going to watch the weeks before or after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I mean,
just assume that you all are just sitting at home traumatized by your own family. So why would you want to spend time with us?
Which is why you need to send letters into Drama Dump.
Yeah, send us all of your fun family stories.
Yes. But the next time is I think December 5th. We'll be on Natalie's channel. We'll be talking about The Holiday. I'm so excited.
The Holiday with Jack Black, remember when Jack Black forgot that he was in The Holiday? I remember everything.
I was put it on this weekend while painting cards, and it was just so comfy. It was just so cozy. But I'll save that for December 5th. Friends, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to everybody who's watching the replay. Natalie.
And remember out there, kids, if a man tells you, I don't get it, just eat the whipped cream frosting, he's a psycho and you should run away. Carrie Fisher is an all-time high goddess, and I miss her every day. But most importantly, stay cozy, stay comfy.
Bye, friends.
Oh, that's right. Bye. Now we have to do the